We're here in Western Sydney with Warren Scattergood of Statewide Curbing. So tell me, Warren, how did Statewide Curbing get started?
Statewide Curbing got started through my father, and I started with him 23 years ago as a child, and then we've just progressed from there.
Right, so when you were working as a child with the business, what sort of equipment and curbing were you doing at the time?
We all just had the normal extruded machines, and probably about 15 years ago we started slip forming.
So tell me how you came to decide that slip forming was the business for you, and tell me about the process of trying to pick out a machine.
I could see that the small machines were getting outdated, so we thought slip forming would be something different. To me, it's a lot simpler process, and we just looked around and we come across power curbers, and we just, out of all the options, we just thought it was the better machine to work with.
Yeah. So tell me about when you say you thought it was a better machine. There's a couple of machines around there. You did your homework. What stood out to you most of all about the power curbers? I remember when we were talking about this with you and your dad 15 years ago, where there was a lot of talks and looking at bits and pieces, and you didn't even see a machine before you decided, yeah, this is the right one. So there must have been something that stood out in your mind. Think about what those things were.
The simplicity of the machine, legal width on travelling, moulds are easy to bolt on, unbolt, and the support was good as well, which was probably a big help as well.
Yeah. And you've owned a couple of power curber machines, hey? I think that you probably own more power curber machines than anybody else in Australia.
Yeah, we've had quite a few power curber machines, from a few second-hand machines to about, I think, 5 new machines.
So how many C machines do you own now, Warren?
We own a C-Max, and we own 2 C's, standard C's, and they're both actually millimetre machines.
So a couple of years ago, or last year, you decided let's move from doing stringline into operating stringless with 3D GPS millimetre. Tell me a bit about that experience and how you got to there.
It's been a bit of experience. There's been a lot of trial and error, and just trying to get the customers to accept it, and that's slowly coming around. But we went that way because the downtime it takes with the string line. We're looking at saving ourselves a minimum 3 hours a day in setup and pull down time, and I think in the long term it would be a lot more friendlier to the guys. When it comes to repetitive hitting pegs on the ground, we think it's good for their longevity as well.
Yeah. So you've been using the stringline machine for about a year now. What are the feedback you're getting from your clients now?
I think they're happy with it. It's like I said, I think it's still early days, but it's been all right.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. You don't have to string out a response longer than what you need to, so that's okay. You didn't get that fun, did you?
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. Just need to keep you loosened up a little bit. So tell me a little bit about your experience with Aran supporting power curbers.
It's been really good. Any issues, we put phone calls in, and we either have support direct from them, but if they can't answer the question straight away, they send an email or a phone call straight into America, and we've had conference calls through Shane, Aran, through America, and solve problems on the spot. It's been quite good.
Do you find that you have many problems with these power curber machines, Warren?
No, nothing drastic. I think there's been a few little issues in recent times with the millimetres, but like I said, it's been a learning curve. There's been a lot of things that happen that no one's seen before, and it's just one of these things that once we have a problem, we fix it, and we don't necessarily have that problem again. It's just we're just evolving as we go.
From when you first got it to now,
yep.
How much more efficient do you think that you are, and particularly with your guys?
We are. We're very efficient. We can be on the site and pouring concrete within 40 minutes of turning up on site, whereas before it would have been 3 hours. So it's very good.
So Warren, how about you tell us about what's happening right behind us now?
Right behind there's just slip forming the standard curb and gutter, council curb and gutter. As you can see, it's millimetre. There's no string line behind the machine. The millimetre station's actually on the other side of the road. And it's used for levels, which you can see the receivers up on top of the machine, and yeah, it's quite as simple when they've only got about 3 loads to go to finish, and it's just a matter of washing the machine up and going. There's no wasting time picking pegs up and forgetting to and leaving pegs on the job, which is another cost as well. So,
how accurate is this millimetre stringless technology?
From our experience with doing checks, we can get it within 3 millimetres of being correct for height, and within 10 millimetres for line. So that's been pretty impressive. It's every bit as good, if not better, than what you would get out of a string line. So
Warren, tell me a little bit about the productivity you get out of a power curver machine compared to extruding.
Oh, the productivity is probably twice the productivity. It's just a continuous movement, and there's less labour involved. It's probably 100% again.
Yeah. And the concrete's a bit different as well. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we're running anywhere between a 30 to 40 mil slump concrete, depending on what type of concrete it is. Whereas the extruder machine runs a nil slump concrete, which is a lot harder to unload, and it's not as strong.
Finishing, it's a bit different as well.
Yeah, there's no slurry involved. This produces its own slurry through the vibration. So, like again, there's no mixing slurry, which is less labour again. It's just a much more simpler process.
If somebody out there was thinking about getting a slip forming machine, what should they know about?
Probably the first thing they should know about is what application will they be doing with the machine, because there's different size slip form machines, so they would have to look in the market to see which size suits them first. Once they have that sorted out, then the next thing is who's going to give them the best aftermarket service, who's going to give them the best training, who's got the most reliable spare parts, and also, you know, what components do the machines have? Are they well known? Just transportability is probably very important, that you don't have to go wasting time stripping it down to fit it on a trailer. So power curbers fit on a trailer legal width. There's even things like trim and pour, even though we aren't trimming and pouring here. But power curbers have a very good trim and pour setup. I believe it's probably one of the best on the market. Also, how simple the machine is to operate, because if you're buying a machine for your workers to use, even though some machines on the surface might look okay, but if they are very complex in the operation of them, and they might cause a bit of an issue with your workers. We found power curbers is a very simple machine to set up, very simple machine to run. I have seen other machines that might have all the bells and whistles on them, but I think becomes a bit of a challenge for the guys to try and get their head around and understand how it all works.
And there's another thing beyond that, is that some of these other machines are very integrated. So when something does go wrong, you've got to replace a large proportion of the machine. Whereas the power curber, since it's simple, it's all broken down into small sections. So if something goes wrong, it's easy to either bypass that and keep on running for the rest of the day, or to quickly change it out.
Yep.
So I think the utilisation of the power curber machine, if some of these little gremlins happen every now and then, which is sometimes an operator thing, sometimes it's things you never expect, at least you're going to have a better chance of continuing on that day, or at least getting back in the next day.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Tell us about a couple of key projects around Sydney. Some of them have been landmark ones that we're quite proud, and I'm sure you're proud that you've finished.
Yeah, we just finished a job on the M5 with our C-Max. We did 6 kilometres of variable slotted drain, 300 and 400 pipe. We had the slot vary, the pipe vary anywhere between 0 to 200 millimetres. As far as I know, we were the first ones in the world to achieve that. And we also did a variable barrier wall on the job. There was 30 kilometres of wall that varied both sides of the road all the way through the centre. And that mould weighed 5.5 tonne, and the C-Max handled it quite well.
What was the variation from side to side, the maximum?
The maximum we got to was a 400 millimetre split. The mould was capable of going to 600 millimetres both sides. But on an average, there was probably only about 100 mil split, but it was enough to make warrant for a variable mould.
Yeah. Where do you see statewide curbing going from here?
I see us really progressing with the slip form side of things. We actually exclusively do slip forming now. We have an extruded curb for the last 6 months. We don't have any extruder machines left. We only have slip form machines. So the only way is up from here, we hope.
Yeah. When you deliver this kind of quality and this efficiency, what does that do for your business, Warren?
I think it puts us on the map. The customers can see that we can go to the job, we can get the job done in record time with minimal complications. which is good for us, but it's also good for them because their job gets put ahead of schedule. And I think the word travels in this industry, and once people know that we can go there and doing a job very efficient, people want to come on board. Yeah. If you're considering using Aran as supplier, do yourself a favour, make contact with them, sit down, discuss what your needs are, and I dare say they'll be able to find something in their lines of machineries that would help you out.
What I really enjoy about working with Warren is that he thinks, he's got an inquisitive mind, and he's very imaginative. Warren just doesn't come up with a problem. He thinks about it. He says, "Hey Shane, have you ever done something with this concrete? Or have you heard about anything with this kind of project layout? Or what do you think about if we do it something like this?" I love to get involved with people with their jobs, not just supplying a machine or fixing it up, but getting my hands dirty on the concrete, looking at different profiles, talking to their customers and making sure that they're comfortable with what we're trying to implement as well.